Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the world of Airbnb superhosts.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, and whether you're a seasoned host or you're just starting out, I bet that superhost badge has caught your eye.
Yeah, it's like the holy grail, isn't it?
It's like the ultimate Airbnb seal of approval, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today, what it really takes to reach superhost status.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going straight to the source, Airbnb's own guidelines, no fluff, just the facts.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so first things first, you've got to have hosted a certain number of guests. Airbnb sets the bar at least 10 reservations,
Okay.
or 3 reservations that add up to at least 100 nights.
Oh, interesting.
So that's kind of cool. It offers some flexibility, right?
Yeah, you could be hosting like quick weekend getaways or catering to longer term stays and still be on the path to superhost status.
Right, it levels the playing field in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next up, responsiveness.
Uh-oh.
Airbnb wants to see a 90% response rate or higher. I'm guessing most hosts understand that communication is key. But why is that 90% figure so important?
Well, think about it from a guest perspective, right? You're planning a trip, maybe you have some questions about the property or the neighborhood, just whatever it might be.
Right.
And if a host takes forever to get back to you or even where it doesn't respond at all,
Yeah.
it just creates the sense of uncertainty and doubt.
Like, are they even going to be there when I get there?
Exactly, exactly. And so that quick response, it builds trust. It reassures the guest that you're attentive and that you know their needs matter to you.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay, so I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Now, the next criteria, cancellations.
Ooh, a tricky one.
Airbnb has a pretty strict policy here. Less than 1% cancellation rate. I imagine this one can be tricky for hosts.
Yeah, it definitely requires a certain level of commitment and planning for sure.
Yeah.
Life happens, unexpected things come up. But, from Airbnb's perspective, that low cancellation rate, it's all about protecting the guest experience.
Right, it would be so frustrating to have your travel plan disrupted because a host just cancels on you at the last minute.
Exactly. So Airbnb is really trying to minimize those situations as much as possible.
Okay. Are there any exceptions to that rule?
There are.
Okay.
And they're really focused on those like major disruptive events, like things that are truly outside of a host's control.
Like a hurricane or something.
Yeah, like natural disasters, widespread power outages, things like that.
Okay, things you just couldn't have anticipated.
Right, exactly.
Okay. On to the final hurdle in our quest for superhost status.
Oh boy.
Those all-important reviews.
Dun dun dun.
You need an average rating of 4.8 stars or higher. Whatever, this was a bit daunting.
Yeah, this is definitely the one that requires the most consistent effort for
Yeah.
sure. You're essentially aiming to exceed guest expectations with every single stay.
Right.
But I think it's helpful to remember that, these reviews, they're about more than just a clean space and fresh towels.
So what are some of the less obvious factors that contribute to those stellar reviews?
Well, communication plays a role here too. Like clear instructions, proactive recommendations,
Yeah.
being available to answer questions. Those all make a big difference.
Right.
But I think one of the biggest factors is personalization.
Personalization. What do you mean by that?
Think about those little things that make a guest feel truly welcome and cared for.
Okay.
A handwritten note, a local treat left in the kitchen.
Like a little gift basket or something.
Exactly, exactly. Maybe even some, personalized recommendations tailored to their interests.
Oh, okay. Like, hey, I see you're into hiking. Here's a great trail.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Those gestures, they go a long way in creating a memorable experience.
Okay, so we've got these 4 pillars of superhost status. Hosting enough guests, being super responsive,
Right.
keeping cancellations to a minimum, and consistently earning those stellar reviews.
Yeah.
For our listeners out there, which of these do you think would be the most challenging for you?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's going to be different for everyone, right? I mean, some hosts might struggle with that high response rate,
Yeah.
especially, if they're juggling multiple listings or they have other commitments.
Right.
Others might find the review aspect to be the most kind of demanding.
Right.
But, I think it's helpful to view these criteria not as hurdles, but as opportunities,
Yeah, I like that. Opportunities to refine your hosting skills.
Exactly.
Learn from each guest interaction, and ultimately, create an Airbnb experience that's truly exceptional.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of hosts out there are curious about the actual evaluation process.
Yeah.
How and when Airbnb decides who makes the cut for superhost status.
Right.
It's like, Is there someone at Airbnb headquarters like constantly monitoring our every move as hosts?
Yeah. Are they watching me?
Yeah.
No, not quite.
Yeah.
But it is a regular and automated process, so Airbnb looks at everyone's performance every 3 months.
Okay.
January, April, July, and October.
So 4 times a year, the judges come out with their scorecards.
Yeah, something like that.
But do they only factor in like those 3 months of data?
That's a good question.
What if I had a bad month? Does that like ruin my chances for the entire year?
No, that's a great question, and it kind of highlights one of the more forgiving aspects of the evaluation, actually. Airbnb looks back at your hosting performance over the entire past 12 months,
The whole year.
the whole year.
So even if I had a rough patch or two, if the rest of the year was solid,
Mhm.
I could still be in the running.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about, demonstrating that consistency over time, not perfection in every single moment.
Right.
And here's something else that's important, especially for newer hosts. You don't even need to have hosted for a full year to qualify.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So even if I like just started hosting 6 months ago, if I'm hitting all the criteria during that, assessment period, I could potentially become a superhost.
Absolutely. It really incentivizes new hosts to kind of go above and beyond right from the start.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait a year to be recognized for your hard work.
That's pretty encouraging for those just starting out.
For sure.
Okay, so now what happens if you hit all the requirements, but it's between those official assessment dates?
Right.
Let's say you get that magic 4.8 star rating in June.
Okay.
Do the confetti cannons go off? Do you like instantly become a superhost?
Well, hold your horses on the celebration.
Okay.
Even if you've hit all the benchmarks, you still have to wait for that next official assessment date, so no instant gratification, unfortunately.
Okay, so patience is key.
Yes,
It's all about the long game when it comes to superhost status.
it is.
Now,
Yeah.
is everyone on Airbnb eligible to become a superhost?
That's a good question.
Are there like certain types of listings or hosts that are excluded?
That is a really good question. And yes, there are a few categories of hosts who aren't included in the Superhost program,
Okay.
even if they, meet all the criteria.
Okay. Now I'm curious, who are we talking about?
Well, for starters, co-hosts,
Right.
unless they also have their own listings, they're not eligible for Superhost status.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Their primary role is to support another host.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And for anyone who's unfamiliar with the term, a co-host is someone who, helps manage a listing. They might handle, guest communication, cleaning, or even check-ins, right?
Exactly. It's a super valuable role,
Yeah.
but it doesn't automatically qualify them for Superhost status.
Right.
They need their own listing to be in the running.
Okay, so who else doesn't make the cut?
Another group is experience hosts.
Oh, okay.
Those who offer tours, activities, workshops, things of that nature, rather than traditional accommodations.
Right, so while they aren't competing for that superhost badge,
All right.
I'm guessing Airbnb has like separate recognition programs for those who are crushing it in the experiences arena.
You bet. They have their own system of badges and rewards to, acknowledge and incentivize those top performing hosts.
Yep.
It wouldn't make sense to kind of lump them in with traditional accommodation hosts, since the criteria for success are quite different.
Right, they're just totally different things.
Totally, yeah.
So we've covered the main requirements for becoming a superhost, how Airbnb evaluates those requirements, and even who isn't eligible for the program.
We've done it.
It seems like we've given our listeners a pretty comprehensive understanding of what it takes to reach that coveted superhost status.
Yeah, I think so. We've definitely laid the groundwork.
Absolutely. It's one thing to understand the requirements, but it's another thing entirely to consistently meet them month after month.
Totally, yeah. It takes dedication and attention to detail and a genuine passion for creating memorable guest experiences.
Yeah, it really does sound like a lot to juggle. Especially, for hosts who are managing multiple properties or have other commitments in their lives, right?
Right.
But I also get the sense that reaching superhost status isn't just about, checking boxes.
No.
It's about a deeper shift in mindset, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's about embracing the idea that hosting is more than just, providing a place to sleep.
Yeah.
It's about creating this welcoming and memorable experience for your guests.
Right.
It's about, going that extra mile to anticipate their needs
Yeah.
and make them feel truly valued.
And that's where those stellar reviews come from, right?
Exactly.
It's that sense that the host genuinely cares about their guests' comfort and enjoyment.
Exactly. Yeah. Guests can tell when a host is just going through the motions
Yeah.
versus like when they're truly invested in creating a positive experience. And
Right.
those positive experiences, that's what leads to those glowing reviews, those repeat bookings,
Yeah.
and and ultimately that coveted Superhost badge.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Airbnb superhosts, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me.
Knowing everything we've discussed today, what's one action,
Yeah.
big or small, that you can take today to start moving towards that superhost goal?
Oh, that is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
You know, it could be something as simple as like setting aside some dedicated time each day to respond to guest inquiries promptly.
Well,
Or maybe it's like brainstorming ways to personalize that welcome message or add a thoughtful local touch to your property.
right.
You know, the key is to just identify one area where you can make a tangible improvement
Yeah.
and then commit to taking action.
It's about making those incremental changes that over time add up to a truly exceptional hosting experience.
Yeah, little by little.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
I agree.
You know, we've demystified the requirements for becoming a superhost. We've explored the nuances of the evaluation process. And we even delved into the mindset and strategies that set successful hosts apart.
We went deep.
So hopefully, you know, our listeners feel empowered and inspired to take their Airbnb hosting to the next level.
Our next level, that's right.
To all our listeners out there.
Yeah.
Whether you're a seasoned superhost or just starting your Airbnb journey.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep striving for excellence, keep learning,
Keep learning.
and keep sharing your unique brand of hospitality with the world.
That's what it's all about.
Happy hosting, everyone.
Yes! Happy hosting.